One of the things that most Naruto fans can agree on is that Naruto's development after the time skip was pretty disappointing. You're all excited to see how powerful Naruto Uzumaki will be after training 3 years with Jiraiya, and the best thing he can do is a slightly larger Rasengan. Now sure, technically Naruto defeats an Itachi body double with that slightly larger Rasengan, and yes, Itachi obviously was not trying to defeat Kakashi and Naruto because he was on the Leaf Village's side, but still, yeah, it defeated Itachi. But it was very unimpressive. A slightly larger Rasengan was the best thing Naruto could do after 3 years of training. Now yes, this is a little bit unfair because Jiraiya obviously taught Naruto more stuff. For instance, he taught Naruto how to break out of Genjutsu, but obviously it didn't work against Itachi because Itachi is simply a very bad opponent when it comes to Genjutsu. Naruto's Taijutsu also improved. He got much more experience with using weapons and dealing with opponents using weapons as well. His speed was a little bit better, and he was overall a better shinobi, but even still, it feels very lackluster when we see what Naruto was capable of after 3 years of training with Jiraiya, the legendary Sannin who was supposed to make Naruto a complete beast after training with him for 3 years. So I wonder if Jiraiya was actually the right man for the job. What if Tsunade had actually chosen Kakashi to train Naruto during those years of the time skip before the Akatsuki went active again hunting the tail beasts? Would Naruto have gotten actually more powerful than in the original series if Kakashi had trained him? And what would be the differences between Naruto's arsenal if Kakashi had trained him from Jiraiya's training? We're gonna be answering this in today's video. Now for this video, we're going to assume that after Naruto fought against Sasuke, Tsunade chose not to send Naruto with Jiraiya to his very, well, journey around the shinobi world. Because Naruto and Jiraiya, they went around a lot of places during the time skip. This is very much implied in the entire series. And Jiraiya was also doing his research most of the time. Also, Jiraiya had the job to spy on the Akatsuki and try to gather intel on them. So in this situation, we're just going to assume that Tsunade sent Jiraiya to get information of the Akatsuki and just not have to deal with Naruto as a pupil during that very specific and difficult mission, and instead she would leave Naruto in the Leaf Village for most of the time, which, to be fair, is much safer than sending Naruto to travel around the world with Jiraiya. Now, of course, Jiraiya is powerful and he can protect Naruto, but if Naruto stayed inside the Leaf Village, I'm pretty sure this would be much better protection against any attack that the Akatsuki could perform. Now, yes, eventually Pain does destroy the Leaf Village, but he also kills Jiraiya very easily. So the entire Leaf Village force of shinobi is gonna be much better defending Naruto than simply Jiraiya because, well, it's a lot more people protecting Naruto. And yes, Jiraiya is an extremely powerful shinobi, but he cannot offer protection better than the entire Leaf Village. And so Naruto would be safer actually if he stayed in the village, and this is what we're going to be assuming in the situation. Tsunade would have left Kakashi in charge of Naruto's training during the entire time skip. And Jiraiya would be able to go and search on the Akatsuki and also peep on girls taking baths and stuff like that. Stuff that he liked to do. In order for us to determine how well Kakashi would have taught Naruto during this hypothetical time skip situation, we have to look at how he actually taught Naruto during the canon events of the Naruto series. And this may be a little controversial, but Kakashi was the best teacher Naruto has ever had. Especially when it comes to Naruto Shippuden Kakashi. He taught Naruto the 2 most important skills he ever acquired, arguably at least. The most obvious one is the Rasenshuriken, which is an S-class ninjutsu attack, a much more powerful ability than anybody in the Leaf Village had access to in that particular time in the story, and Kakashi was able to teach that to Naruto in record time. I mean, it took Naruto a couple of weeks to master an imperfect version of the Rasenshuriken, able to defeat Kakuzu, and in 3 years, Jiraiya was only able to teach Naruto a slightly bigger Rasengan, so I think Kakashi has a lot of potential here when it comes to teaching Naruto stuff during the time skip. But also another very important thing Kakashi taught Naruto in Naruto Shippuden was how to use the Shadow Clone Jutsu strategically, because before Kakashi even told Naruto how the Shadow Clone Jutsu worked, Naruto simply spammed the Shadow Clone Jutsu and essentially essentially threw hundreds upon hundreds of clones against any particularly powerful opponent he would face. Kakashi, however, taught Naruto that no, Naruto, you have to be more strategic about your shadow clones. You can actually acquire experience from the shadow clones that are destroyed and gather knowledge from them. You can use the shadow clones as bait and as reconnaissance to understand the opponent's abilities, and then after the shadow clones are defeated and you understand the abilities that your opponent has, you can form strategies to counter his most powerful jutsus. Because once the shadow clone is destroyed, the original retains the knowledge that that shadow clone got during his time being quote-unquote alive, which is actually the most important feat of the shadow clone jutsu that Naruto was kind of completely unaware of up until Kakashi told him what the shadow clone jutsu could do. And just think about this for a second. The shadow clone jutsu has been Naruto's staple jutsu since chapter 1 of the Naruto series, and he only learned how to use it properly after Kakashi taught him midway through Naruto Shippuden. Now, some people would say this is Kakashi's fault for not thinking about how to use the shadow clone more appropriately earlier in the story. However, Kakashi came to that conclusion after he had time to think about it, because Kakashi was actually hospitalized after the first arc of Naruto Shippuden in the Kazekage rescue mission because he used Kamui too much and he couldn't even move after that, so he stayed in the hospital for a week or so while Naruto went to the Tenchi Bridge arc and stuff like that, and he used all that time to think about how to train Naruto appropriately, and he came up with the best possible method that could essentially make Naruto a Kage level opponent in a couple of weeks, which was to use the Shadow Clone Jutsu to make anything Naruto wanted to learn much faster than it would otherwise be. Because the Shadow Clones retain the knowledge of what they do during their time quote-unquote alive, and when they're dispelled, they transfer that knowledge over to the original. They can essentially provide Naruto a way to learn jutsus much faster than anybody else could, speeding up Naruto's training hundreds of times depending on how many clones Naruto uses to train that particular ability. Naruto was able to learn 50% of the Rasenshuriken in a couple of weeks using his Shadow Clone army and training every day. And the thing is, infusing wind style to the Rasengan was an extremely difficult task. Minato, as we learned in the Minato one-shot, developed the Rasengan when he was 15 or 16 years old, and we know that Minato died when he was 24. Minato could never perform this thing. He couldn't infuse his elemental transformation into the Rasengan, so that's why Kakashi told Naruto that the Rasengan was actually an incomplete jutsu that the 4th Hokage died before he could master completely, because his intention was to infuse whatever elemental transformation Minato had into the Rasengan to make it an S-class ninjutsu. But because he died at 24 years old, which was pretty soon to be fair, he could never completely master the Rasengan in the way it was supposed to be mastered. Now, yes, he didn't master the Rasengan till he died, but he still developed the Rasengan when he was 15 or 16, so he had at least 8 or so years, the better part of a decade, to complete the jutsu, and he never could. He was never able to infuse his nature transformation into the Rasengan, and Minato was the greatest prodigy and the most talented shinobi the Leaf Village had ever seen, and he wasn't able to master it in 8 years. Now, yes, there were a lot of wars during that period. Minato couldn't devote 100% of his time to training this new Rasenshuriken form, but even still, it's very strange that a character as powerful as Minato and as talented as he is wasn't able to master this evolved form of the Rasengan, meaning that infusing a nature transformation into the Rasengan was an extremely difficult task. And Naruto was able to accomplish that in a couple of weeks due to Kakashi's training. Naruto was not a genius like Minato was, but he could make up for that using hundreds upon hundreds of shadow clones and taking advantage of his massive chakra reserve so that he could actually use them, because only Naruto would be able to perform that particular type of training, and that's exactly what Kakashi tells him when he comes up with that idea. Naruto's even like, "Oh, Kakashi-sensei, did you always use this particular training with the shadow clones because you're really strong?" And Kakashi's like, "No, you are the only person who can use that because nobody else can create as many clones as you have because your chakra reserves are essentially unreal." Well, the only other person I can think of, to be honest, is Hashirama. He would be able to create a lot of wood clones, but, well, we don't know if he even used that back in the day to train, and Naruto took advantage of that, but Kakashi was the person who thought about it. So in this particular scenario, when Kakashi is going to be training Naruto, assuming that Kakashi is going to devote most of his time during those 3 years of time skip to train Naruto to make him more powerful to eventually face the Akatsuki because they are all after him and the Nine Tails, Kakashi would essentially be able to come up with that training strategy from the beginning because, well, when he had a week to think about how to make Naruto more powerful when he was in the hospital, he was able to come up with something extremely powerful, using the shadow clones to enhance his training and to make it much faster whenever he has to master a new thing or even develop new skills. And if he was actually training Naruto during the time skip, he would be thinking about how to make Naruto more powerful essentially the entire time, and I have no doubts in my mind Kakashi would think about this particular type of training during the beginning of the time skip. So instead of Naruto having just a couple of weeks, which was what he used to master the Rasenshuriken in the original, he would be using this particular training for 3 entire years if Kakashi had taught him during the time skip. Needless to say, Naruto would be able to master the Rasenshuriken, which would probably be the first thing Kakashi would have told Naruto to learn. He would definitely have administered the same task he did in the original to find out Naruto's elemental transformation, and then he would say, okay Naruto, you have to infuse wind style into your Rasengan because that was the 4th Hokage's plan all along, and you're the person who's going to complete his jutsu. And because they would have much more time than the original, Naruto would be able to master the Rasenshuriken completely, learning how to throw it as well as how to just use it, because he only learned how to throw it after he acquired Sage Mode. But in this particular situation, if Naruto and Kakashi practiced the Rasenshuriken training using the entire Shadow Clone army, I see Naruto learning the complete thing in about a month or 2, and Naruto would still have almost 3 entire years to train during the time skip. Now, obviously, the Shadow Clone army training has a bit of a limitation because the Nine Tails can try to take over Naruto's body because he is splitting his chakra along several different clones and weakening himself essentially so the Nine Tails can try and take over. That's why Yamato had to stay on guard during the entire training sequence when he was learning the Rasenshuriken, and he actually had to use his wood style to suppress the Nine Tails' chakra a couple of times. But I can definitely see Kakashi requesting Tsunade to, yeah, can you borrow me somebody so that they can seal the Nine Tails' chakra if anything bad happens during the Naruto training here, because we're trying to make Naruto become extremely powerful, and if the Nine Tails interferes, it's gonna be bad. I can definitely see Tsunade just saying, yeah, Yamato, your mission is to contain the Nine Tails' chakra if it goes ballistic during Naruto's training, and your priority now is to make this blonde kid extremely powerful. So Yamato would essentially be doing the exact same thing he did during the Rasenshuriken training. Maybe Kakashi would be a little hesitant to teach Naruto the Rasenshuriken right out of the bat because he would know this would be an S-class jutsu, extremely powerful for a 13-year-old Naruto, the Naruto that started the time skip essentially, who's very young, to use. But I can concede that Kakashi would see, yeah, the Akatsuki is a big threat, we have to teach you the most powerful stuff we can right out of the bat, and then, well, let's just master the Rasenshuriken. Now, the biggest problem with Jiraiya's training in the time skip was that he actually tried to make Naruto master the Nine Tails, and eventually they just gave up on that because Jiraiya realized that the Nine Tails was actually hurting Naruto more than it was helping him. So Jiraiya told Naruto never to really ask the Nine Tails for more chakra because he was essentially shortening his lifespan by requesting it from the Nine Tails. And this was a big mistake and a time waste during the time skip because Jiraiya and Naruto were training for something that Naruto wouldn't even use. A big problem, and probably one of the reasons why Naruto was pretty unimpressive after the time skip, but I do not see Kakashi trying to train Naruto and mastering the Nine Tails' chakra because Kakashi has always been kind of afraid of the Nine Tails, and he wouldn't really trust himself to contain the power of the Nine Tails should something go wrong, or even Naruto to master it very well. He would try to make Naruto himself an extremely powerful shinobi to the best of his abilities. So that's a good thing for Kakashi's training in this hypothetical time skip situation. He wouldn't waste time trying to make Naruto master the Nine Tails because he would be completely unable to, just like Jiraiya was. It was only with Killer Bee, an actual perfect Jinchuriki, that Naruto would eventually master master KCM, but he would never do that with Kakashi or Jiraiya, so Kakashi, he actually wouldn't try to train Naruto with that. Jiraiya actually wanted to make Naruto a master of the Nine Tails. It was one of the first things Jiraiya ever taught Naruto, how to ask the Nine Tails for chakra, but eventually he learned, yeah, this is not a very good idea because it's hurt Naruto more than it's doing good for him. Kakashi wouldn't even reach that particular situation because he wouldn't even try to make Naruto master it. But after mastering the Rasenshuriken, which Naruto would definitely be able to do in a couple of months at most during the time skip if he used the Shadow Clone Army technique, Kakashi would have much more time to teach Naruto other stuff. Now, obviously, Naruto would definitely master a slightly larger Rasengan, the Odama Rasengan, which he used against the Itachi body double, and Jiraiya's biggest accomplishment teaching Naruto during the time skip, if you consider that Naruto will be using his Shadow Clone Army to train almost every single day, and Kakashi would certainly teach Naruto better Taijutsu techniques. He would make Naruto a much faster shinobi because several different Shadow Clones would be training at the same time, which would simply make Naruto's training progress much faster. I mean, if he mastered the Rasenshuriken in a couple of weeks using the Shadow Clone Army, imagine what he could do with other stuff. Which brings me to the type of jutsus Kakashi would even teach Naruto during this time skip, using the Shadow Clone Army to make the training much faster. Now first, obviously Kakashi would know that Naruto's nature transformation is wind style because, well, he already knows the Rasenshuriken, but Kakashi would want to teach Naruto more basic wind style jutsus, and jutsus that would simply be very effective for Naruto as a shinobi and make him more versatile. Long range jutsus, short range jutsus, everything wind style related would be fair game here because Kakashi was actually trying to see what nature transformation Naruto had, and because Kakashi copied over 1,000 jutsus during his ninja career, I bet he copied a pretty decent amount of wind style jutsus that he could simply teach Naruto. Now obviously wind style Rasenshuriken is the strongest wind style jutsu in the entire series and Naruto would have already mastered it, but that doesn't mean learning more wind style jutsus wouldn't be very good for Naruto, especially to diversify his entire jutsu arsenal, which is pretty lackluster, especially after the time skip. And if Naruto could master an S-class jutsu in wind style, which is the Rasenshuriken, I have no doubt he would master several other types of wind style techniques. Also, because Kakashi copied over 1,000 jutsus during his career, I have no doubt he would try to teach Naruto a couple of sealing jutsus. Naruto being an Uzumaki, who are the best clan in the world in sealing jutsus, Kakashi would definitely try to teach Naruto some stuff, and while doing all that stuff and using the thousands of shadow clones Naruto would to train and get faster with improving his abilities, Naruto would essentially get exponentially more powerful. Now, if Naruto doesn't train with Jiraiya, you can argue that his synergy with his toad summons would be a little bit lessened, but let's be real here, Naruto barely ever uses his toad summons. He only works with the toads in the fight against Pain, which, well, they are very impactful in that fight, but Naruto himself doesn't even summon the toads against Pain. It's Shima who summons Naruto alongside all the other toads to the battlefield, and then Naruto uses the summoning jutsu 2 times in the Naruto series, and both times happen during the war arc. The first time he summons Gamma Hero against a bunch of white Zetsus, which is completely inconsequential, and Naruto could have dealt with them very easily without Gamma Hero anyway, and then he summons Gamma Kichi against the Ten Tails Clowns, which, yeah, Gamma Kichi was pretty useful in that situation, but it wasn't anything crazy because Naruto could have dealt with the Ten Tails' clones in other ways. Gamma Kichi definitely facilitated the process in there, but it wasn't exactly detrimental for Naruto's success in that situation, and even if we take into account that Naruto would be training with Kakashi in this situation, Naruto would still be able to use the summoning jutsu to bring Gamma Hero and Gamma Kichi to the battlefield whenever he wanted to. Naruto does remarkably little with his toad summons during the entire series, which is disappointing because he trained with Jiraiya for 3 years, and apparently Jiraiya didn't teach Naruto anything about his toad summons and how to work properly with them, which is, well, disappointing. Another thing you may say that Naruto learned with Jiraiya and he wouldn't with Kakashi was how to break out of Genjutsu, and yes, Jiraiya taught him a very interesting way to break out of Genjutsus by disrupting his own chakra when somebody casts a Genjutsu upon him. However, if Kakashi trained Naruto, I have no doubt in my mind he would do the exact same thing, and Kakashi's Genjutsu breaking training would probably be more effective, because think about this for a second. Naruto's main motivation to learn how to break out of Genjutsu was because he would eventually have to face Sasuke to bring him back to the Leaf Village, because he has the Sharingan and he can use ocular Genjutsu. So he asked Jiraiya to teach him how to break out of Genjutsu, but Kakashi has an advantage when it comes to that, because he actually has a Sharingan, so he can actually use Sharingan Genjutsu on Naruto to try and test him, so that Naruto has to break out of real Sharingan Genjutsu. Now, Kakashi is not as proficient as Sasuke is with his Sharingan Genjutsu, but it's a very good analog for Naruto to get used to. So if Kakashi had trained Naruto during the time skip, he would be even better at breaking out of Genjutsu, and maybe, just maybe, he would have been able to break out of Itachi's Genjutsu all on his own, which he was definitely unable to do so in the original series. Itachi's ephemeral caught Naruto completely off guard. Yes, he tried to use Jiraiya's technique to break out of it, but he was completely worthless, so Sakura and Chiyo had to break him out instead. So I see absolutely no disadvantage with Kakashi training Naruto during the time skip. Naruto would have learned the Rasenshuriken much earlier, he would be much faster and better at Taijutsu, he would be able to use his Shadow Clone Jutsu much more effectively, because he would know how to implement strategies, gather intel, and distract his opponents much better with them. He would also learn a much greater variety of wind-style jutsus that could make Naruto a much more versatile ninja, which is a problem for Naruto, to be honest, because his usual MO is to spam Shadow Clones and Rasengans, and now with more wind-style jutsus, he can do more stuff, and he would also eventually learn more sealing abilities that Kakashi would eventually teach him. Meanwhile, he wouldn't lose anything he learned with Jiraiya during his time skip. Kakashi would be even better at teaching Naruto how to break out of Genjutsu, and Naruto would still be able to summon toads whenever he pleased. So this hypothetical Naruto that trained with Kakashi for 3 entire years, using Kakashi's genius method of exploiting the Shadow Clone Jutsu quirks to make training much faster in an extreme scale, would be a far more impressive ninja than Naruto was after the time skip in the original series. This Naruto would be much more comparable to post-time skip Sasuke, who was essentially dog-walking Naruto and the entire Team Kakashi in the Tenchi Bridge arc. Sasuke blitzed every single one of them, Naruto included, and finessed them completely. Naruto, Yamato, Sakura, and Sai couldn't do anything about Sasuke whatsoever, and yes, Sasuke used very specific methods of training, and of course he got very powerful, especially because he's a talented shinobi, but if Kakashi had trained Naruto, they would have stood a much better chance against Sasuke in that situation. Naruto would be much more powerful, he would have a bigger variety of jutsus, he would have more powerful jutsus and the Rasenshuriken, and he would also be much faster and have a better reaction time, simply because his entire Shadow Clone army would be training 24/7 for 3 years. I mean, not 24/7, but a long time during that period. Needless to say, Jiraiya kinda dropped the ball when it came to training Naruto during the time skip, and I don't think anybody's going to dispute that claim very much. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to help me out grow our content here on YouTube, and like the video to help me against the YouTube algorithm. This is a fight we can win, you just have to like the video. Watch this video right here as well for more cool Naruto content, and thank you so much for watching.